All right, let's not waste any more time. This past Friday, Chris Jericho was in Toronto, and he took some time out of his busy schedule to drop by our HD studio. Let's hear what the former Ayatollah of rock and rolla had to say. And we are thrilled to be joined by one of the top superstars in the WWE, one of the stars of Raw, Chris Jericho. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you doing this.
Thanks for having me. One of the top, I just have to say the top superstar on Raw, SmackDown, ECW, Florida Championship Wrestling, all across the board. You are now sitting with the top superstar, probably in the history of anything, in the history of the world.
And you have the hardware to prove. You got the Slammy Award.
I do have the Slammy. Actually, that's my second Slammy Award. The first, the one that I just won last week for Superstar of the Year, Superstar of 2008, that was me, Chris Jericho. So that proves it. The first one that I won was for the Raw 15-year anniversary in, I think, 2003, and we won the match of, oh, no, it was a 10-year anniversary. We won the match of the decade. And there was 8 of us because it was a TLC match, and there was one Slammy. And so no one really wanted to take us. I was like, I'll take it. So I grab it, and I walk off stage, and like, you got to give us the Slammy back. I'm like, the hell I do? Like, no, you seriously got to give the Slammy back. And I was like, come on, I've always wanted a Slammy. Owen Hart had 2 Slammys. Like, I always love, please let me keep it. She's like, I can't. But then she goes, if you come around the corner, I'll let you keep the Slammy. So I grabbed, actually have a Slammy in my house. But the other day when I won the Superstar of the Year award, come off the stage and have to give the Slammy back. So I guess so someone else can get it next year.
When you look back at the first book, I mean, to sit there and try to recollect moments that happened in your career going from places like in northern Manitoba to Mexico and Japan and really all over the world. I mean, how difficult is that process to actually think back and remember the specifics of some of the crazy things that happened to you? Do you know how preposterous those events are as you're living them, or does it take the maturity and the experience to think back and go, that most people probably don't experience those kinds of things?
I think when you're like 21 years old or 22 years old, living in a foreign country, kind of a little bit of a star. Like, you know, I was Teen Beat, heartthrob, and all that sort of stuff. You kind of just take it for granted, like this is just how it is, must be for everybody.
Right.
You know, and then you look back on it, it's like not everybody had, you know, got held up at gunpoint on the side of the road in Mexico City after they tried to pick up a chick, or got threatened to have their finger cut off by a Japanese mafia, or had to sit on a talk show similar to this one while people called in to vote for my name, which almost was He-Man. All these tales and much more available in A Lion's Tale, sold at fine bookstores near you. Yeah, there's literally like, there's this thing called, it was called Luce Noche, and these 2 hosts were wearing masks. Why the hosts of the show were wearing masks, I'm not sure. Maybe they were on the run, or they were, you know, convicts or something. And I was sitting at the end, I didn't speak any Spanish. This was right when I got there because they were trying to think of a name for me. And they wanted me to be called He-Man, and I'm talking He-Man, like, you know, Skeletor, loincloth, sword, bowl cut, the whole thing. And I was like, I want to be the golden lion. Like, I want to be a lion. And they're like, you know, I want to be a lion. And they're like, no, you can't be a lion. You're the He-Man. They're like, we'll put you on TV and we'll have people vote in. So it was He-Man, the Lion, and Chris Power was the 3rd choice. And people actually called in to vote, like kind of an early American Idol. And at the end of the show, they had the announcement. They pulled the thing out and they said, in the wind, este nombre es León de Oro, the Golden Lion. I was like, oh, thank God. And these mariachis were playing, and confetti was falling down, and all this stuff was going on. So I picked up the piece of paper when the guy left, and it had votes. It was like León de Oro, 59, He-Man, 56, Chris Power, 19. So I don't know what was worse, the fact that there was only 3 votes less that could have been He-Man, the fact that 19 people thought Chris Power was a good name, or the fact that only like 117 people voted in the first place.
But these guys are literally doing the show in Spanish, and you have no idea what's going on.
I was like, you guys are just totally going to call me the Golden Lion, right? No, whatever the fans vote. And I was like, literally sitting for an hour going, I can't be He-Man. I'm like, I got Tourette's, or I can't be He-Man. I can't be He-Man. Can't be He-Man. And I almost was. You could be sitting here talking to He-Man had things gone differently that day.
You started off as a young wrestler with the goal of getting to the WWE. Here you are now, on top of the company. You're right here as one of the best performers in the WWE. And I wonder whether or not you feel as though you've come full circle.
I think so. I mean, the one thing that you find nowadays in the WWE locker room and on the rosters, there's not a lot of guys with experience. You can't teach experience, and that's another thing you're talking about in the book. I mean, I had 9 years of international experience of being a main event player in different styles of wrestling before I even stepped foot in the WWE. And when I got into the WWE, it was a whole new thing. I had to relearn everything, but I had the experience to be able to do that. And there's not a lot of experience on the roster. And when I left in 2005, I never said I was retiring. I said I wouldn't come back until I felt I could be better than ever. And since I've come back and changed this whole persona and became this new Chris Jericho character, I think I am doing the best work of my career. And I said I was going to do that. And when I first came back, I had to make some tweaks. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do things, but like I said, I had the know-how and the things to fall back on to be able to do that. A lot of guys in the locker room now don't, and they do come up to me and ask me for advice. They do ask me what I think. And I'm not saying that my advice is always right. I don't know. I just know my opinion of things. But sometimes that's all it takes.
The superstar of the year,
yes.
And he has a Slammy to prove.
And we'll be in Toronto on December 22nd, so I will be here to prove it to you. I'll bring my Slammy. I'll steal it back and parade through the streets like the Olympic torch.
The Super Show at the Air Canada Centre on Monday, December 22nd. We'll see you there. Well, Jericho is clearly one of the best superstars in the WWE, and he has repeatedly made every effort to help us out here at The Score whenever he can. So we want to thank Chris for livening things up here on the Countdown. And you can catch more of that interview coming up tomorrow afternoon between 2 and 4 Eastern Time, leading into the replay of Raw. Of course, Jericho lost last night. What's his course of action going to be tonight? Who's up next for John Cena? Oh, and in case you weren't aware of this past weekend in Hamilton, The Miz and John Morrison became the new World Tag Team Champions. Will CM Punk and Kofi Kingston look for revenge, or is Punk now solely focused on William Regal? Tonight's Raw should be very interesting indeed. And with that, I'm out of time. I'm Greg Sansoni. Thanks for watching. Enjoy Raw. It's coming up right here on the Home for the Hardcore.